Orthodox Christianity has made me become the best version of myself. And as a byproduct of that, I'm now becoming the example for young men to also want to become the best version of themselves. And whether they work with me or not, whether they just watch videos of me and they make better decisions, me becoming better is helping them become better. And it's essentially my priority. And it's changed my way of thinking.
Blessed are you, O Lord, teach me your statutes. The choir of the saints has found the fountain of life and the door of paradise. May I also find the way through repentance. I am the sheep that was lost. Call me up to you, O Savior, and save me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Steadfast Godcast. My name is Chris, and my guest today is the Spartan-looking personal trainer who, more importantly, is an Orthodox Christian, Chris Tahmazis. Brother, how you going?
Fantastic, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem, brother. I've just seen you on Facebook, social media and that. You're doing some nice little shorts and videos about nutrition and a little bit about orthodoxy. Also, you're a personal trainer as well, and you do a lot of fitness work. So very excited to have you on, man, and just talk a little bit about what you do.
Awesome, man. I've been looking forward to it from the day you hit me up about a month or two ago, and we're finally here.
Awesome, brother. What I do usually is I'll start us off with a little bit of prayer. I'll say the Lord's Prayer, and then we'll get going. All right. Our Father in heaven, holy be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, both now and forever until the ages of ages. Amen. All right. So, like I said before, I have been watching some of your shorts and videos. One of my favorite things that you do is just you call it as it is. Anyone that loves fitness and eats real food, and more importantly, it loves Christ, is my sort of guy. So it's great to have you on the channel, brother.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get going. So for the people that don't know you, give us a little backstory on what life was like for you growing up.
I think life growing up for me was probably pretty typical for a lot of Greek Australians. Coming from a very working class type of family, both parents were working. In fact, both parents were working. As soon as I was pretty much born, not long after, I was living with my grandparents because both mum and dad were working. So I had the blessing of being brought up by first generation migrants that didn't have the ability to speak English. And through that, I gained access to a world where I was living in, I guess, Metro Melbourne, but at the same time, getting the experience of a very village folk lifestyle from my grandparents. And through that, I learned the language. I was introduced to the religion because we lived pretty much across the road from a Greek church in Windsor in Melbourne. And growing up, we would be going there on Sundays, during the week to clean it. Young people were very big parts of the Greek community there in Paran, and it was just a thing that we did. Now, I had no idea what was going on in church at the time, but nevertheless, I was surrounded by the Greek community and the Orthodox community of the area, and I guess that's where the foundations were laid. And as I got older, I moved back with my parents because I started primary school, and parents are still both working. But yeah, I got brought up in an environment where I did see the value of hard work. I did see the value of having absent parents during my upbringing as a means of survival, really. And these are the things that they also saw as their parents migrated to the country, having to work to provide and put food on the table. So I was very blessed to see that, and I think all the values and the mindset and the instilled behavior patterns that I saw from my parents growing up and my grandparents as well has essentially led me to having the mindset and the values that I have right now as a young man.
A lot of the videos you're sort of mentoring, you're doing fitness training, a lot of young boys and things like that. I mean, what inspired you to be to go in that sort of field?
That's an interesting question, man, because it's only really been the last 6 months that I've had time to sit down and really reflect on, I guess, the position that I'm in and the level of responsibility I have with these young men, mostly young men. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I obviously played football growing up, and I always seeked some guidance in my playing ability. Not just that, even things that have got nothing to do with football. I was the older brother, so I didn't really have an older brother to ask questions. I didn't have someone that could make the mistakes for me to learn from. I was the one that was falling flat on my face. I was the one getting in trouble. I was the one, going to multiple high schools and basically wearing the brunt for my younger brother and essentially
You're,
making all the
you're sort
mistakes so
of,
he didn't have
yeah,
to.
you're sort of working it out yourself before anyone else can. You know what I mean?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
Mm.
And through that path, I realized that a lot of young men, once I got into coaching, also seem to have that issue as well. And when I got into coaching, I I struggled. I struggled at the start because I wasn't acting like a coach. I just had the label of a coach. And in the coaching world, you need to fully embody the coach's role in every aspect of your life, not just when you walk into the gym, not just, when you're at the football club, if that is that you want to be the best coach. And I changed quite a bit once I became a coach because I saw that my voice wasn't falling, or my voice was falling on deaf ears, because people still associated me with that Chris Tahmazis that was, a bit of a jokester and, didn't take life too seriously. So, how can I take him seriously if he doesn't even take himself seriously? And that was a big pivotal point in my life where I had to make the change and start taking myself seriously and, in my coaching, in my life in general, so that when I would say things, there would be a lot more impact to my students, to my athletes, to my clients, and I would get a better result out of it. So I, by and large, I essentially just became the older brother, the role that I've always been doing within my family and to my younger brother, to everybody that I coach. That's really it in the most basic form. Being an example, using my mistakes, my story that, I grew up with, to highlight how the next generation who I'm coaching can avoid making the mistakes that I made so they can edge themselves just a little bit better.
Yeah, look, a lot of your videos as well, it sort of emphasize, the discipline aspect of things as well. And obviously the long-term consistency, that's another big one, right? But what habits do you reckon like separate for example, the 1% of athletes from the rest?
It's really just doing the day-to-day tasks. The day-to-day tasks, the ones that don't seem to be that significant, but doing them over a long period of time consistently
Mm.
is the difference between those guys that are good and then those guys that they're elite. Because a lot of people, they tend to want to seek for the newest thing or this big, how do I say it? Like I can say a certain exercise it's going to do 80% of the work, but they're failing to realize that you just got to show up and just sometimes do the boring stuff consistently until you really master it. And sometimes that's hard for people to grasp because it's not exciting.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work there. Do you obviously get a lot of satisfaction when you're training younger athletes, and then you see that they go on to become an NPL player, and or they whatever they're doing, if it's track and field, whatever it is, and they're excelling. That must be really a big buzz for you.
Oh, it's massive. It's massive. I mean, I just had a client this morning, came in and I'd been working with her. She's a young girl, and we were just kind of dissecting about the tournament that she was playing over the weekend. And her dad was just like, "Mate, I've never seen her move like this in my life." And you could just see that he had reached a state in which he had always wanted to see his daughter get to. And I mean, seeing that, I can't put a price on that, man. I can't put a price on that. And, when I hear things like that, it really validates the decision that I made into doing what I want, to doing what I do. And on top of that, like football aside, or whatever sport my athletes play, the biggest wins that I get from hearing them is, them becoming better people overall.
Yeah.
Because if I make someone, super fast and they win an NPL championship, but they're still carrying on like an idiot on the weekend and, doing and making poor decisions, then I feel like I've failed them as a coach and as an older brother. Because I think a true older brother and a true coach isn't just someone that's going to look at it and be like, "Oh, yep, your numbers are up. Perfect. Well done. Off you go."
See you later,
I look at it like, are you being a better human? Because ultimately what a lot of athletes that I find, they don't quite realize, and sometimes parents too, they come in and they want a certain outcome from a physical adaptation that they may be chasing, which is fine. I understand that. But when you are playing in a team sport, you have to understand that the character that you are as a human being can sometimes outweigh the skill level that you have within that sport. And if you're not someone worthy of being spoken to, if you're not someone that has the respect amongst their peers, doesn't matter if you could put the ball in the top corner. Eventually, people won't want to work with you in the team, and that can become a cancer that can ruin the trajectory of where the team goes. It's a team sport at the end of the day. So yes, you need to prioritize being physically strong, being physically quick, but if you can't speak the same language, if you don't have respect, if you don't have empathy, if you can't help these others, and you can't uplift players around you, and you're solely focused on yourself, well, then you're not going to be the best athlete that you can possibly be and best human being. I think it was Pep Guardiola was saying that the way he picks soccer teams isn't based on purely their skill. It's also the character of the man. And
definitely,
he's one of the most successful coaches in the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm an Arsenal fan. I know Mikel Arteta does the same thing. It's a lot to do with the character. And also for myself, I've got both kids. I've got a son and a daughter. Both play the JDL program. I'll give Sydney Olympic a bit of a shout out. But yeah, they play for Olympic. But the idea for me, it's like the chances of them making it to A-League or anything further than that, right? It's very, very, very minute. You know what the percentage is. It's ridiculous. So why am I putting him in there? I'm putting him in there because they're learning discipline. They're learning social environments, how to be with other kids, and to become a better person at the end. So they know when they do get in the job industry, the industry of whatever they wanted to do, they know that they're capable and they've been in high pressure cooker situations where they can get themselves, out of it. So I think there's a lot of things in that, you know what I mean? But I totally agree with you on that one, 100%.
Yeah, what you're saying is, it sounds like pretty much most conversations that I've had with a lot of the parents where, they don't come and see me, and, a lot of them aren't like big dreamers. Like,
Yeah.
he needs to be like they literally, they kind of see me and they're like, you know what? This guy is looking like he can discipline my son. He's not afraid to say what needs to be said. He pulls him in line. Whether he becomes, a Ballon d'Or player or not, I don't really care. I just know he's going to be in a better environment than what he
That's it.
currently is, and that's going to
That's it.
advance him on deeper levels than just the football field. And I honestly think helping athletes to become better footballers, or athletes in general from a physical standpoint, I think that's really surface level layer of coaching from what I believe I can offer. And I think over a long term time frame, and this is something that I'm working on right now, is I'm looking at creating a program and almost a coaching system that is specifically designed in uplifting men through all the elements of what I believe it is to become an ultimate man, not just, get strong. Like, get strong to me
Yeah.
is like, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's perfect. I was going to say as well, just going back to my kid just for a second,
Yep.
what do you think the best advice for them to keep motivated? I know obviously the biggest thing is they're going to have to want it. That's their want. But what do you have any tips to maybe, what I can do to keep them motivated?
Setting goals. Setting goals. They need, having a want to be somewhere is obviously, that's a bare minimum. But then you've got to peel back another layer and give them a reason as to, what are they working towards? So if your kids are going to, say they're playing for Sydney Olympic this year, and what outcome are they looking for to it? If you were to ask them the question, okay, by the time October hits, the end of the season, what would you have needed to achieve, or what would you have needed to do on the field in order for you to sit there and go, you know what? I had a good season. Or if someone was to ask me, how did you go this year? What would you need to achieve for you to say good, bad, or average? And a lot of kids probably wouldn't have thought of that. They may want to get better, but these are very vague answers that, my better is different to your better. That's different to Johnny's better. What's better? Everyone wants to get better, but how does that look for this certain individual? And that might be different for positions, player personalities, and things like that. So if they can have something that they're working towards to give them more of a motive, because you're not always going to be motivated.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? In a few months' time, we're going to be in July. It's going to be freezing. little bit of rain comes out. Oh, I'm not going to go to training. So if you don't have a goal that you're working towards, any obstacle that gets thrown in your way is going to hold you back, and you're going to be like, whatever. I'm not working towards anything anyway. I'm just kind of doing it to, I don't know, because maybe dad told me, or because I'm just used to going.
Yeah, so like a written out plan's a good one to say, these are the 5, for example, 5 goals to hit for the end of the year, and try your best to sort of stay focused to hit them. It's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult. If they're a striker, just set a goal target.
Yeah.
If they're a winger, set a how many crosses in target, or, small things like that. It all depends on the age of the child. So how old are the kids?
My daughter plays under 13s and my son plays under 11s.
Okay, so they're old enough to have some, pretty decent goals in them.
Yeah.
So that's how I would set it.
What mistakes do you see the young ones making? What's the biggest one you go, like, it's almost like the same thing that you see over and over?
When you say young ones, how old is
Well, just when I say young, I mean, like, you could be your 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, just I'm 41, so everyone above, below 20 is young for me. So, just the biggest mistake that you see that's like, oh man, not this again,
The big mistake that I do find a lot of players making is their inability to actually run correctly. And this isn't a mistake that's purposefully done on their behalf. They've just never been taught the right way to actually move. And time again, I will get conversations with people. Hey, my son is slow. It just doesn't look like he can get out of third gear. Can you check him out? Sure, no problem. I get him on here. I get him on my treadmill. I analyze the running. I break it down. We put it in slow-mo. And the common mistake that I'm finding time and time again is the fact that they all run, or not all, but majority of them will be running, leading with their heel striking the ground first. And the reason why they're doing that is because I blame the footwear that they wear. So when you wear a conventional runner, I don't have one here as an example, but if you look at a shoe that someone would run in, it's usually got a fatter heel, and it has an incline facing downwards. So you're going to be leaning forward, and you've got a fat heel. So you've got this fat foamy heel that allows the athlete to run with their heel striking the ground. Now, what happens when you do that over a long period of time? You change your biomechanics. Now, naturally, we were never running in shoes. So if you eradicate the shoe and you tell your athlete, hey, go run on the concrete, and they start running on their heels, I can guarantee you they'll be running on their 4-foot quick smart, because they will feel every bit of pain. So by wearing these shoes, it's changed their way they run, and they've lost full connection from their actual foot, which is the first point of contact, to the rest of the rest of the body. So their ankle's weak, their calves and Achilles, they're not even activated whatsoever, because that cushion is blunting the pain that they should be feeling. And pain is a signal to the body to tell you, is it good or is it bad? But they don't feel that whatsoever. So now they're running on their heel. Their posture can be a little bit poorer. They're not producing much power from that step. So I'll strip it back. Take the shoe off. Everyone knows you come into my gym, shoes off. And socks. We need to be connected to the ground. Unless you're wearing a barefoot type of trainer like I wear. But even still, I do get them to take it off. So we build from the ground up, because our first point of contact. And I guess that the philosophy of training that I have kind of correlates to who I am as a person. Very like primitive type eating, ancestral lifestyle, taking your shoes off. And it's ingrained in my overall philosophy. And when I see this time and time again, and I make the changes necessary, because the kids go to soccer, they're not getting taught how to run. No one is. You know what I mean? It's just like, just run as fast as you can. And then when they got the shoes that don't facilitate that, it pushes them in the direction where they shouldn't be. So running, poor biomechanics, absolute number one. And just from that in itself, everything else, all the other problems stem from there. Because you've built the house on a concrete slab and it's not sturdy. And that concrete slab being the feet. Every single point of contact that they make is completely disconnected from the ground. And how that affects the kinetic chain up the body, especially over a long period of time, you start to understand why, people's postures, their ability to run and all these sorts of things aren't as good.
Wow, that's actually very interesting. Very interesting. I take my son once a week to do some like sprint training and obviously learn how to run better. So I can see he's been doing it for say 4 to 6 weeks. I think he's been doing it, and you can see the improvement already by just his movement and stuff like that. But what you just said then as well with the balance and how it affects the rest of the body, I couldn't agree with you more there, to be honest. So that's a really good observation. That's really good. But let's talk a little bit about nutrition, because you were just talking then about what sort of stuff you eat, that you like to eat more natural type of foods. What's a typical day of eating like for you?
Well, at the moment, we're in Orthodox Easter Lent,
Correct.
and I've actually decided this year not to do the fast as per what we should be doing. So there's a couple of reasons behind that. I won't dive too deep into it, but it's essentially I didn't want to put my body through the stress of being a vegan for 40 days. And I know it sounds really contradicting because of I am an Orthodox Christian and I do preach a lot about it, but I've made that tough decision. I almost feel like I'm a bit of a fraud by saying this because I'm not actioning essentially what I preach. But I mean, I'm on the front line here helping guys out with their health, with their nutrition, and I feel as if that it's my obligation to put myself as the best example for my clients rather than going off wayward. So, I mean, I've made a sacrifice where I'm not eating Wednesday and Friday at all for this 40-day Lent. But typical day to day is, I mean, this morning I just had 11 eggs and about 100 grams of Parmesan cheese. And I'll probably have 400 or 500 gram Scotch fillet for dinner.
Nice.
Tomorrow I won't be eating because it's Friday.
Yeah.
So my last meal will be tonight, and I won't eat till like Saturday. So look, I'm typically eating mostly meat and eggs, mostly fatty meat. Eggs are fatty. There's no non-fatty egg, but the meats that I am having are mostly fatty. So I'm opting for lamb shoulder, Scotch fillet, porterhouse. If I occasionally get a lean piece of meat, I will make sure that I have quite a bit of ghee or butter with it so I can keep my fat content up. And eggs as well. And that's really it.
Yeah.
That's really it.
So I wouldn't say carnivore, I'm probably more of a keto sort of diet, where I incorporate vegetables. The funny thing was there was a stage where I was doing just the eggs and the meat, right? And then I saw one of your videos and it was the funniest thing, and I adopted it, right? It was because you were doing the meat on the barbie, right? But then what you did was you go, you cut up an onion. And who doesn't love an onion, right? And you're like,
No.
you know what? You go like, why am I doing it? Because it just tastes good. Like it was something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, and I'm like, you know what? Of course. Why wouldn't you do an onion? Like this makes sense, you know? And I promise you, I cut like 2 organic massive onions, chop them fine. I do like say 8 eggs, and then with a Scotch fillet, and it is the best meal you'll ever have, man. It's just unreal. Just onions, man. Onions. So.
Bro, onions are crazy, man.
Oh.
I haven't done the onions in a while. I was going through a big phase. I was having like 2 onions a meal. Because after you chop one onion up and you cook it, it's nothing, man. Like you've got that down in like 2-3 scoops.
Oh,
So
and the
I've
flavors.
got to get 2 proper onions.
And you know what? When I cook it with ghee, especially, I don't know, ghee just gives it this flavor through it too. It's just phenomenal. It is phenomenal. Well, have you heard anything about? Obviously, we know the seed oils are shit, right? We don't like seed oils. We talk about more conventional olive oil, so good quality olive oil. People talk about coconut oil and things like that. But I did hear one doctor say that all oils are bad. Now, I know you're hearing different things from different people. Everyone's saying about this is good, that's bad, and I get it. But what he's saying is that it's pretty much once the oil has seen air for like more than 10 or 15 minutes, then it's oxidized. So it's no good. What do you know about that? Do you know anything about that? Have you heard anything like that?
I haven't heard anything of that nature. I do know that if you do cook olive oils over a certain temperature, then it changes the I don't know the terminology, but the oil isn't the same as what it is if it's just uncooked past a certain temperature. So if you're lightly frying some eggs, then it can be okay. But if you're sitting there raising the temperature to proper deep fry some stuff, then you could be changing the property of the oil and it could oxidize it a little bit. I mean, look, there's a whole bunch of different theories. I know that you can have a higher smoke point with, I believe, avocado oil. But I mean, to cover all bases, the best bet is just to cook it in either beef tallow, its own fats, or just use ghee.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm usually using ghee.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm doing. But obviously at the moment with Lent, I'm just using, I am still using olive oil. I'm still cooking with oil. But yeah. All right. So the other thing is too, obviously being on social media, a lot of people will follow, will support, but then there'll be, a couple of people that will be more negative and criticize. What do you think about that?
It's an interesting one. And I do get criticized quite a lot. And I understand why, because I'm very outspoken and I can come across as someone that is, a threat to a lot of people. And my views on the world, politically, everything is like, you know what I'm about. I'm not sitting here, fence sitting. And the blessing behind all the hate is the fact that I draw a lot of people that are really close to me, because people genuinely see exactly who I am. So they either really like me or they really dislike me. There's really kind of no other end. So with all the love and support that I get, which I'm very grateful for, I also push away a big crowd. But I'm not interested in serving that crowd anyway. So I'll look at it like, for example, any political leader out there. Donald Trump, yeah? Now, he won the election, I think, just marginally. That means pretty much half the country still hate him. You're not going to win everyone. And I don't want to either way. Anyway, I don't want to. So with all the backlash that I cop on the internet, I've never received any whatsoever in person. Everything that I've heard in person is, thank you, man, you inspired me. Like, can I get a photo? Love your work. I've never, ever received one negative comment in my face. And I guess that basically breaks down and validates who these type of people are. And they're not the type of people that I want to associate with anyway. So, I mean, that says it loud and clear.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So now, just to push it to a little bit of orthodoxy here, your Orthodox faith, you talk about it in some of your videos. How has that influenced you, like your lifestyle, and obviously even as a coach as well?
Massively, massively. Orthodox Christianity for me, I was absent from it for quite a while throughout my teenage years and early 20s. And when I say absent, I'll use the term I was a cultured Christian. And I stole this term.
Me too, buddy.
I stole this term off a client of mine who I've recently just started working with. And I had never heard it before, but I knew exactly what he was meaning. And, I just go to Easter, do the standard sort of stuff. But, in terms of the values and things like that, I wasn't really embodying it. But my life changed when I was, how old was I? I don't know how old I was 6 years ago. I would have been 28 when my Kubaro asked me to be the best man at his wedding. And at that point, I knew I had to take on a pretty significant role within the church that was a lot more powerful than anything that I had done before. And that kind of set me on a journey. That set me on a journey because I knew deep down, well, if I was going to marry him and his wife, well, I'm going to be the godfather to his firstborn. And I don't want a title just for the sake of having a title. Like I was saying before, you can't just be a coach because you wear a t-shirt that says coach. You need to live and breathe it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when I reflect on that, I actually was in the transitional phase of my life where I was now also becoming a coach at the same time. So that basically instigated and pushed me towards finding out more, seeking, the true values of orthodoxy. And I thank my good brother all the time for that, because, that was a catalyst I needed to being the coach, being the man, being the person that I am right now. And I ended up baptizing his firstborn, Nicola, 5 years ago. And, through the journey over the last 6 years, I visited Mount Athos in 2023. I spent a day there with the monks, and I think I went to about 6 or 7 different monasteries.
Wow. How cool is that?
I'm planning to visit again. I want to stay for multiple days.
Let's go together next time. I
I'm
want to actually
100%,
go. I'm serious.
100% down. And
Wow.
And it really woke me up. It really woke me up through a lot of the shit that was going on in the world and everything as well. It started it all to make sense. And I also stepped into a new realm of my life where I started to become a coach, like I said. And a coach doesn't necessarily represent someone who's coaching people for like you're a father. That's the ultimate level of being a coach, in my opinion. So I now it represented who I was, my personality, my brand, everything. And this is where I was talking about before, that orthodoxy has changed my way of coaching, because I don't really care about how much you can lift if you're still a dickhead on the street. It doesn't. They both need to be working hand in hand. It can't be one or the other. So I actually get upset at my clients when they're mucking around, and this is where I'm helping them also, not just becoming Orthodox Christians. I am attracting a lot of Orthodox clients just because of who I am, and we relate better. But me being the example of becoming a better man and a better Orthodox Christian, I have now started to attract young men in their early 20s who, like the guy I was saying that said he was a cultured Christian, and they're making these decisions now of, they're questioning what's going on. My friends are doing this, but it doesn't relate to me, and I want this. And Orthodox Christianity has made me become the best version of myself. And as a byproduct of that, I'm now becoming the example for young men to also want to become the best version of themselves. And whether they work with me or not, whether they just watch videos of me and they make better decisions, me becoming better is helping them become better. And it's literally become my ultimate level of, it's essentially my priority, and it's changed my way of thinking. Even the way I dated women from 2018 onwards. When I went to Mount Athos, I always said to myself, I want a Greek girl, I want a Greek girl, I want a Greek girl. Because I just thought, Greek, we speak Greek, same culture, blah, blah, blah. When I came back from Mount Athos, it wasn't whether I wanted a Greek girl or not. I wanted a girl who was a follower of Jesus Christ. Because those values, you could be a Greek person, but you're a mass murderer. Like I said, what type of person are you? It's not the number of the weight that you're lifting that defines who you are. It's how you act that defines who you are. It's not the country in which you're born in that defines who you are. It's how you act which defines who you are. The country in which you're born in, or the country that the culture is just a t-shirt that you wear. But we strip that all back. What values do you have? So I opened and expanded my mind in how I viewed women. And then I was blessed with my girlfriend now, who's a devout Coptic Orthodox Egyptian girl. And I reflect on the relationships I had prior and compared to hers, and the values in which we share, the relationship in which we have is such a close bond where we get to go to church together, we get to read the Bible together, and we get to talk about the next generation in which we're going to create in a way that's so uplifting because we have the values of what the church has instilled within us. And that to me is the most powerful thing that I've ever experienced.
That is exactly the way I think as well. I always say to everybody when I speak to them, it's like, don't worry what your kid's going to become, if they're going to be a plumber or something in IT or whatever. Give them the foundation and grounding of Christ, and you'll never have to worry about anything ever again. It's very simple, because God will know. God will guide you, whether it's your journey of whatever you're doing with your business, whatever it is. Don't worry. It's all in God's hands, but it needs to be a foundation of Christ. It's so important. I can't express that enough because, once you lose Christ, Galinichta, that's it. Forget about everything. It's all lost. It's all done. And yeah, but mate, one last question, and it's a bit of a vague one, but I just wanted to hear what you think. On the outside looking in, I mean, you're not really directly involved in a church, but like Orthodoxy in Australia, when you see it on the outside, what do you think's lacking? How can we improve it?
Orthodoxy or Greek Orthodoxy?
Well, Eastern Orthodox, whatever, doesn't matter. Orthodox in general, Greek Orthodox, even Greek Orthodox, because I go to like an Antiochian church as well, which is Eastern Orthodox. Okay, they do things really good. I've already explained that in a previous pod, but I just want to know, especially, let's just go Greek Orthodox here, because yeah, what do you think? How can they improve? Because you've been to some services and whatnot, obviously in Melbourne. So what do you think?
There's a lot of things, and and what's really enlightened me, in my opinion, on this is since being with my girlfriend who is Coptic, and I've got a taste of what they do, and I've been to many services, and I've spoken to the papadas in those churches. They call them abuna.
Yep.
And I've got the comparison of Coptic Orthodox, Eastern Greek Orthodox, and also my experience growing up in the Greek Orthodox Church. And when I mentioned earlier that I started going to church because of my grandparents growing up, there was a time in which that stopped because I started playing football, and football's on Sunday. No 6 to 16-year-old's going to pick church over soccer. No chance. Most dads aren't going to pick taking their kids to church over soccer, especially when they're going to soccer and they're having souvlaki with the boys. You know what I mean? I understand that. And that's what I fell into. So I parted ways with the church because football became the priority. And us Greeks were involved in a lot of things. Not so much in Sydney, but in Melbourne, we have Greek soccer clubs. We've got at least 2 in every single division. Some even got like 4.
And just to hold the thought there. So, are you a Heidelberg guy? Or are you a South Melbourne guy?
Oh, I grew up going to South Melbourne games, but I'm a Northern Greek, and Heidelberg I don't know, I just feel a little bit more love for Heidelberg.
Should I make this part the intro of the show? No. Sorry, continue. Yeah, sorry.
So we're heavily involved in soccer games, soccer clubs that take a big commitment. You know what I mean? You go to any Greek soccer club on a Sunday, and I can guarantee you there's hundreds of people there that haven't even gone to church that day. Because who's running the canteen? Who's running the souvlaki? Who's running the lines? Who's doing all that? Who's playing the game? Who's bringing the kids to play the game? You know, extrapolate that over multiple clubs. Then you've got the restaurants, the coffee shops, you know, they're the nightclubs. You know, we're not just, we're everywhere. And we're in the church as well. Not to say we're not in the church, but when I compare the Greek community to the Egyptian community, the Egyptians are only going to church. They're not running soccer clubs. They don't do barakia. They don't do kafenia. You know what I mean? They're simple people. They go to church, and then that's it. And then if they play bala, they're playing Churches League, which is halya.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, brother. Well, that's a great way to segue and finish the show. Thank you so much for coming on. You're an absolute legend, bro. Let me know where people can find you. So I'll put everything in the description box. But yeah, let them know where we can find you.
You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok and Facebook. Most of my usernames are Chris Tahmazis or Chris Tahmazis Fit. If you're searching Chris Tahmazis, I'm sure you'll see my head pop up somewhere. So click on that, give me a follow, shoot me a DM. If you like my content, stick around. If you don't, well then I'll see you another time.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for joining me. Definitely going to have you back on again in the future if the Lord wills. Again, I'll put all your details in the description box where people can follow you and support you. And guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube page. And if you want to support the channel, the link is in the description box where you can buy me a coffee. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. O Kyrios mou και ο Θεός μου, my Lord and my God. Amen. Come, Lord Jesus.